anyone that you cannot hear, let us know, raise your hand, and either I'll speak louder or our candidates as well. Okay, distinguished guests, Kiwanians, ladies and gentlemen, I want to also welcome you to the forum. It's my pleasure to serve as moderator today, and we are excited about the fact that we as an organization have 3 different forums that we are having this year as well. As Kiwanians, we're very proud of our strong heritage and commitment to civic responsibility. And that's what our candidates here today are showing all of us in terms of their willingness to be a candidate and to look forward to having our city have the strongest and the best government possible. But as Kiwanians, we also look to service of our community, one child in one community at a time. Our candidates, Sara Buchanan, Betsy Cooper, Joe Carr, Wesley Combs, Colette George, Bob Harshbarger, Paul Montgomery, J.S. Moore, and our other candidate, as was mentioned, Gerald Sensabaugh, was unable to be with us today. The guidelines, again, for the forum are as follows. Each candidate will have 60 seconds to make an introductory statement. They will also have, in a second aspect, 10 seconds to respond yes, no, or undecided. So all of the things that previously were said could be in an undecided. You may just say undecided, not ready to decide, and so forth. Then back to 60 seconds to respond with explanation to individual forum questions, and lastly, a 60-second closing statement. Admiral John McKinley is our timekeeper, and he will alert each speaker when time has elapsed in the explanation portion of our program, and give a 15-second alert, and if needed, a time's up signal. Please demonstrate, Admiral. Guess what that means? That's it. So we will begin with opening statements from our candidates, and we'll begin with Ms. Buchanan. Thank you. Where's the other one?
Behind you.
Behind you, down the table.
Right there.
This is the one that you will be passing down.
Well, it's probably easy. Take it out.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. Is it okay if I stand up? I prefer to stand up. Thank you for having us here. I think this is a great forum to explain where we all stand on the issues. My name is Sara Buchanan. I'm a native of Kingsport, and I graduated from Dobbins-Bennett. After growing up in Kingsport, I started my career in public service as a Peace Corps volunteer. From there, I went on to work for humanitarian aid organizations before joining the Foreign Service in the federal government. Serving in the diplomatic corps, I helped local governments address complex problems, much like those we're facing here in Kingsport. I worked with local boards of education so that girls could go to school. I brought together private companies and government officials to improve investment. I helped small entrepreneurs establish and grow businesses to help provide for their families. Throughout my career, I've been responsible for making sure taxpayer funds are spent appropriately. As Alderman, I will bring my technical expertise and connections to expand the city's economic, cultural, and social opportunities. I will use my networking and negotiation skills to elevate the position of Kingsport in the region. And I want to make sure the next generation of people of Kingsport have the same opportunities that I've had. Thank you.
Well, Kingsport Kiwanis Club, I'm back. So, I'm a native, like Ms. Buchanan here, I'm a native of Kingsport, graduated Dobbins-Bennett. I'm a local realtor. I'm a Shades of Grace volunteer. And I used to be a videographer for the DB football team. 2 years ago, I ran for mayor, and my heart was in the right place, but my head obviously wasn't. Abe Lincoln once said, I will study and prepare, and my chance will come. So over the last 2 years, I've talked to a lot of folks. I've read a lot, and I've learned a lot. And the past year, I worked on 5 political campaigns, 1 at the local level, 2 at the state level, and I even worked in Georgia on the Senate runoff race. My campaign is all about rekindling Kingsport and embracing the pioneer spirit that makes us a wonderful place to live, while also looking forward to the future with a sense of optimism.
Thank you, Joe. I'm Wesley Combs. I'm not a politician. I've not had any experience in any of these things. I'm from Rogersville, entrepreneur. At about 12 years old, I started making bubble blowers at Heritage Days and made money, so I realized that was valuable. Degree in computer science from ETSU, started a tech company here in Kingsport about 2 decades ago, built about 30 jobs that are still here. In the healthcare industry, so business tech, healthcare is kind of my background. And I'm always kind of looking forward to the future to figure out the next disruptive technology. And so what I'm hoping to do is kind of bring all those skills to the BMA and then really align what we're going to do for the next 20, 30, 50 years, because there's a whole lot of change coming. And I'm really just excited to be up here. I'm learning a lot, and it's been a lot of fun. So thank you.
Good morning. My name is Betsy Cooper, and when I heard the motto of one child, one community, that kind of sums up who I am. I taught 31 years in Kingsport City Schools as a kindergarten teacher, and then after I retired, I became on the school board, the Board of Education. Since retirement, I've also been a CASA, a court-appointed special advocate for children, and I'm very active in the Isaiah 117 House of Kingsport as a board member and as a volunteer. I go love on children. My present employment is at First Broad Street Child Care Center, where I have 80 children from 6 weeks old to 5-year-old. So children are my passion, anything with children. And in saying that, investing for the future in our children is equally important. So I appreciate my last 4 years on the BMA, and I look forward, if reelected, serving 4 more years. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you guys for hosting us. This is a wonderful birthday luncheon, so I'm glad we share. I'm Colette George. I am the broker-owner of Blue Ridge Properties, which has now been in business 50 years in Kingsport. I have served 2 terms, and I'm asking for your vote to serve 1 more term. I enjoy this. A lot of the projects that we started working on when I first got on the board are now starting to happen and come through. The one thing you learn with government is it moves a lot differently than business. And it's been quite a learning experience, and I truly believe in Kingsport. And there have been a lot of changes. The pandemic is making us focus on a lot of other changes in how we do things. And I want to be on this board and be a part of the growth and success of the city of Kingsport with our downtown areas and our entire city. Thank you very much.
Well, hello. My name is Bob Harshbarger. I see a lot of familiar faces and I see some new faces. I just want to take the time to introduce myself. I'm a father of 2 young, strapping boys. I'm a loving husband to a wonderful wife, Erin. I'm a local community pharmacist here. You can reach out to me any time of the day, anytime during the week. I'm also a small business leader. I've run the family business for over 10 years successfully. And above all else, I am a product of Kingsport. The city raised me, it educated me, and it now provides for my family. And above all, I just want to make sure that we put Kingsport first in everything we do. Thank you. And I appreciate your support, and I'm asking for your vote.
Good afternoon, I'm Paul Montgomery. I want first of all say thank you to the Kiwanis Club for inviting us here today. I appreciate your work that you've done over the years in helping our community grow and helping one child at a time. As like you, I have 30 years of community service, including the Optimist Club as well as the Rotary Club. I'm currently a Rotarian. And I believe that those years of service and work has uniquely qualified me to serve in a more tangible way. So I am seeking the position of alderman, to be your alderman, to represent you and the business that we have before us. And I appreciate your vote as well.
I'm J.S. Moore. Written a bunch of books, but I don't want to talk about me. The reason I'm running is I just feel like Kingsport has this budding potential, but for whatever reason, it hasn't progressed the way it could. I look at an alderman seat as a person that represents the people. And over the past few years, seeing what's happened downtown with our homeless population kind of surging, some of that's self-induced. You know, there were 600 people dislocated with the apartments being leveled to the ground. It's not something that the newspapers covered. If you go down there and you talk to somebody that's homeless, I'd say 4 out of 10 of those people were somehow connected to the apartments. There was a community center there was a food bank. And another thing is, we need a hospital authority in this area. If you've not had bills from Ballard, you don't get 1 bill, you get 10 bills. There's something dead up the creek there. So, thanks.
You can just go right there, yes?
All right.
And we're going to, again, relative to the nature of the number and also COVID, past things as they would be, so you're going to be next as we would speak. But thank you, candidates, and we will now begin our questioning. Again, the early part of our questioning, candidates are going to answer yes, no, or undecided. Either you agree with what the statement is, or you disagree, or you have not yet decided for this area. Again, you have 10 seconds to respond, and Admiral will let you know if we need to hurry up with your response. So again, we would start with Mr. Moore and come this way. The question is, should Kingsport continue to operate with the council manager form of government? Mr. Moore.
I think we could explore other options. This is something that's been in place for
Again,
years.
we
Yes.
just need at this point,
No.
yes,
No.
no, or undecided. This is gonna
No.
go very
Sorry.
quickly with a series of
Yes.
questions.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Undecided.
All right, and we will start with you for the next question, Ms. Buchanan. Should Kingsport continue to have nonpartisan city elections?
Yes.
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 Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
C. Yes.
All right, the next question. Should aldermen continue to be elected at large versus being elected by specific geographic districts?
Yes.
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 Undecided.
Yes.
No, I feel there should be districts.
This question, has Kingsport been aggressive enough in building code enforcement?
Yes.
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 Next question. Do you think the BMA was wise not to build another stadium on the General Shell property?
Yes.
Undecided.
Yes.
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 Undecided.
Hell yes.
Undecided, but leaning towards yes.
Next question. Do you think the city has improved their repaving of public streets in recent years?
No?
Yes, but we should do more.
Yes.
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 No.
Next question. Do you think Kingsport needs more parks and recreational facilities?
Yes.
Yes.
Undecided.
Yes.
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 No.
No.
Next question. Do you think the total taxes and fees that Kingsport property owners pay are among the lowest of full-service cities in Northeast Tennessee?
Undecided.
Yes.
Undecided.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
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 Undecided. Don't raise taxes, please.
The final question in this segment has a different response option. The question is, should Kingsport continue holding its city elections at a different time than our national elections? If you agree, the response is yes. Otherwise, an answer would be no, at the same time as national elections, or hold with the August county dates. Let me repeat that for everyone. The question is, should Kingsport continue holding its city elections at a different time than our national elections? And so if you agree that they should continue what is currently happening, the answer is yes. If you feel that they should be held at the same time as national elections, say national elections. And if you prefer though to hold them with the August county dates, respond accordingly.
No.
Yes.
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 Somewhat undecided. I don't think that was an option though. I would say that maybe with the county.
Yes, it makes us unique.
No, we should have it with the general or national elections for greater voter participation.
All right, thank you candidates, and let's give them applause for responding to a very different format and one that allows us with many more candidates and also the opportunity for greater responses as we get to our regular, longer questions. And with these final questions, again, the comment about your having a full minute in your response will be in order. The first question is, what is the #1 strength of Kingsport and why?
I think the #1 strength of Kingsport is its people, its resiliency. We've seen through the COVID-19 pandemic that we've been living through that our city is strong, and we're strong because of the people. And regardless of the types of incidents that happen to us or the things that we are affected by, we're able to overcome that because we have the systems in place to succeed. We have the strong schools, we have the strong community groups, we have the churches who help bring people together. And this is really what the difference is between Kingsport and other places. I know a lot of people are concerned about, well, Bristol's eating our lunch in terms of economic development, but we really need to focus on who we are and what we value as a people and our uniqueness as a city. And that's what's really going to drive us forward in the future. And it's going to be our unique and defining characteristic that we can tap into and work through these times of crisis and hardship.
The next question, in this case, again, as differently from other forums, everyone gets a unique question. So your question is, what is the number one weakness of Kingsport, and why do you feel that is so?
The number one weakness that we have is, I think that over the past decade, we've developed a sense of complacency, almost apathy, and that's led to us not thinking outside of the box as much. A former alderman, Dave Clark, he wrote a really good article in the Kingsport Times News about how we need to be attracting up-and-coming companies that have a lot of room for growth. And that's something that we need to, I think, definitely look into. You know, the number one way to rekindle Kingsport is to listen to our people and listen to our teachers and our small business owners, and not waste money on stupid things like sidewalks, bike lanes, multi-million-dollar projects moving power lines across the side of the street.
The next question is, how would you handle the homeless situation in Kingsport?
Wow, all right. With the homeless situation, I look at this as, homelessness usually stems back to some core issues, and we have to address those. And usually, being in the healthcare sector, there's mental health, there's drug addiction. That's used in a lot of cases. That's where it stems back to. And homeless has two sides. The people that are voluntarily there, or maybe not. And then some people, they have those addictions, and they need help, and some of them want to come out of it. So I'll look at that situation. We've got a community partner, Ballot, which is, has a public advantage for the monopoly in healthcare, and this is an area where Kingsport needs to really lean in with that entity, along with others that are not for profit, not paying taxes, and really lean in that, say, help us fix this problem. And come up with program and solutions. They've got the accountable care communities that they're participating in, and that is really designed to fix some of these. And I think they're working towards that, but I really look at that as a core issue of addressing the root of homelessness, is going to those root issues.
Thank you. The next question, what role should the BMA take to improve Kingsport's economy?
The BMA is, one of our most frequent discussions is about the economy of Kingsport. Of course, and I've heard Pat say several times that we're not the engine that drives the economy, that's the private sector, but we are the supporting features that do all the things that we can to support industry. Two examples are the Eastman, the pilot we gave Eastman, and the pilot we gave Domtar to support industry in our community. I said both of those are ways that we have helped industry or helped businesses come to Kingsport and invest in Kingsport, and both of those pilots make Kingsport a greener community, because both of those are up and coming things with the recycling of the plastics or the recycling of cardboard to make Kingsport greener and cleaner and looking toward the future.
The next question, given the recent national discussions about police departments, do you think the Kingsport Police Department should be reimagined, that being a word that's often used?
No. I think that we have a wonderful police department. I'm very proud of our guys and our leadership. They have worked extremely well with a lot of different decisions and a lot of different situations. They are above and beyond when it comes to helping out regionally. Anytime there is a need in this community, they are there. They have done a wonderful job reaching out to each different group of people throughout this city and working on the conditions we have here just to the best of their ability. I'm very, very impressed with them, and I'm proud that they represent our city.
The next question, what is the most common concern you hear from people about Kingsport?
I
would say the most common concern, most recently, it is the homeless situation, but on top of that, I think it's the idea of retail and the fact that we need to develop our retail sector. And, you know, it doesn't help when you've got COVID come through and pretty much level the playing field. I think the one thing that I see that's part of my plan is to try to, you know, recruit businesses for economic development. I understand that there's a necessity for that. But in my own small business, I understand that it costs much more money to go out and get new business than it does to develop the businesses that are the customers that I have in my backyard. So I want to see us reinvest in our small businesses more so. I want to see programs that we can invest back into that and grow those businesses that are already here, that are already paying taxes and already employing people.
Our next question, in what ways and under what conditions should the city of Kingsport participate in regional approaches to economic development?
I think the city should continue its work with networks and other regional efforts because I do believe we are better served if we are marketing the entire area together. And that way we can reach that more. I think that the state would work with us more on a regional basis, but also I think we have some assets here that are unique and that we should build upon those because Kingsport has a strong history and a strong manufacturing history. And we have a lot of people that have a can-do spirit here, and we need to harness that and show folks that we can do it better and more economical here in our area. So I think that we've got a wealth of knowledge here, and we should build upon that.
Thank you. Our next question, have you already been volunteering or serving in the city? If so, tell us.
Well, after Thanksgiving, had a lot of leftovers, and on my drive home one day, I saw all these people on the street. It's freezing cold, and I say to my wife, I said, let's make soup. Let's go feed them. So we got a stock pot, and we went out that day in the cold. I put up a sign, I painted a pallet, hot meal, free hot meal, and we just fed 54 people that day. And the next day was Saturday, and I went and bought another stock pot, and the next day we fed over 100 people, and did that for 3 straight weekends. And we can't approach that situation as they're drug addicts, they're there because they choose to be. There's so many life things that can happen. And all those people have parents. Many of those people have children. There's no reason why we shouldn't do more for them. Oh, thanks.
All right, we're going to move back with additional questions, and we will give you a second question at this point. Which do you consider more important for Kingsport right now? Building new homes and commercial space, or revitalizing and making better our existing homes and storefronts?
Yeah, definitely revitalizing. We've got too many empty buildings. We've got some of them that should just be leveled. The old Mason-Dixon building there, as you go to Target, look at all that property that could be used for something. So we know that it can't be renovated. There's too much black mold. There would be too much to fix it. So tear it down. Do something else with that space. There's no reason to cover up agriculture land that we have, because that's beautiful to me. That, to me, when you tear down or you're building on farmland, that's digression. That's not progressive, because there's too many buildings in Kingsport that could serve a better purpose, whether it be a legitimate homeless shelter, because right now we have, really there are 2 places that stand out to me that really help the homeless. That would be Hunger First and Shades of Grace. Now, there are other places, but some of those places haven't done anything during COVID, but they're still getting federal money, but they're not doing anything. So for me, it would be more important to revitalize what we have and then cover up another farm space.
Thank you. Mr. Montgomery, how would you describe Kingsport's relationship with Sullivan County?
I think over the years, and I've been here for you, the relationships are really, to me, from the outside, has improved. Years ago, we were fighting each other in court and over annexation. Seems like now we have more of our local members serving on the county commission, and we currently have both mayors are working well together, especially during this COVID season we're in. So I think that for overall cooperation probably has been the best that I've seen in many, many years. So thanks to those of you who are working together to make it all better. And that's what helps bring more folks to our area when we have better cooperation. Because when we start fighting each other, that's when we don't look so good from the outside.
Thank you. Our next question, what areas would you like to see the county work with the city more closely?
Okay, that's a tough question.
We didn't say they were going
I
to be
know.
easy.
I want to piggyback on what Paul said. I think we are moving in the right direction. One thing I do want to point out with networks is I understand the power of group purchasing. I get that. But the one thing I want to make sure that we do in the future is we assess the outcomes. I want to have something, I want Kingsport's hard-earned tax dollars to be used for an investment that's going to have outcomes that are going to be beneficial for Kingsport. That's why I'm running to begin with, is I want to put Kingsport first. And I just want to make sure that the jobs are being created, that they're being created, and we've got to sustain, I want it to be sustainable in all reality. I want these jobs to be able to grow the families that buy the merchandise, that grow and buy the homes, not the ones that are, federally subsidized.
The next question, how would you like to see the city develop Cement Hill? And how would you coordinate the development of Cement Hill with the remainder of General Shell?
Cement Hill has some unique features, so it is not going to be able to be developed into much more than a passive park. So what you're looking at up there with the conditions and what is up there is doing more of a walking trail, green space, beautification, more sheds for hopefully animals, and to benefit downtown Kingsport by being a beautiful location that you can hike on, bike on, trails, and something like that. There are some reasons that it can't be developed in other directions. That being said, we are looking at all of Brickyard Park to use the rest of that as some residential housing going in and an event field or something that will benefit and grow our downtown and the citizens of Kingsport.
Thank you. Our next question, what should Kingsport do with the 3 buildings they vacate downtown after they move to the new city hall? Of course, the 3 buildings being the present city hall, the development building, and the engineering building.
I think that these 3 buildings need to be put back on the, for sale, back on the tax rolls, as quick as we can do that. I know there's been some discussion around the city hall building because it's front center street, it's a good location. And I'm not sure that any other entity could come into city hall and use it in the way it is right now. I mean, it's kind of a dinosaur building. And so they've been talking about, selling maybe corner lots of that area, or doing some different things with City Hall. But I think that whatever we do, we need to move quickly and get it back for sale, and maybe, some in the private sector buy it and get it back on Kingsport's tax roll. I said that's was kind of our thinking when we talked about moving the City Hall to the new building, is to do something with those buildings. The worst thing we could do, I think, is let them sit there and not have a plan for them. So I think we need to be very aggressive in what we do with, like I said, getting them back on the tax roll and making them a useful building. And all the buildings are in a place that's for private industry to come in, and it's a good location.
Thank you. Will you continue to support the academic village and look for ways to improve it? What suggestions would you recommend?
Yeah, I think, education's core to anything that we do, and especially in the academic village, because the educational approach seems to be somewhat different there. There's a lot more vocational education that seems to come out of there. The EMT program, I personally would like to do. I think that's neat. And RCAM, the stuff that comes out of there is really quite impressive, machine shop and 3D printing and everything. One area where I think the circular economy thing is really growing, and we've got a plastics plant here, and looking at recycling plastics. There's these programs and open sourcing these ideas, I think, would be important, where we're teaching young people or teaching people, here's how you take plastics, here's how you grind them up, here's how you heat them up and recycle them, and you can make boards out of them or something like that. I could see a lot of arts and crafts businesses and small shops opening up downtown around that one idea. And Eastman cranks out so much plastic, it makes no sense in the world for us not to recycle and use a bunch of that stuff here. But I think the educational setup downtown, I support growth of that for sure.
What major policy, if any, would you try to change if you are elected to the VMA?
Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to get our spending priorities, our ducks in a row. Talking to folks, the number one thing that ticks them off is, spending money on bike lanes, sidewalks to Neverland, multi-million-dollar projects to move power lines, feasibility studies for baseball stadiums that we don't build and didn't need in the first place. And that's really what we need to do to rekindle Kingsport, is get our priorities back in a row. If we can get our spending on track, we'll have more money to spend it on things that really matter, like good schools and good roads.
Thank you. Are you prepared to vote for higher property taxes if the school system presents a new Capitol building program?
I think that's going to depend on the context of what's being requested and what's needed. I think, like some of my fellow candidates have talked about, we really need greater stewardship of our taxpayer resources to make sure that we're meeting the needs of people in the city right now, and also those future generations who are coming along. I know in the plan, that the capital plan for the city that's coming up, $313,000 is planned to be used to pave the parking lot of the senior center. And $100,000 is planned to be used to redo the foyer of the senior center. So really, how can we focus? Is that the best use of our taxpayer dollars when, some of the other candidates have mentioned people are sleeping on the streets in Kingsport, and how can we make sure that we're helping the families who are hurting, the older people who are taking care of their grandchildren? How can we make sure that they have what they need? So that would be the main focus for me.
Thank you. And now we're going to have a question where we revert to our normal procedure, so everyone is going to respond. And we'll start with you, Ms. Buchanan. What city priorities would you promote to facilitate more quality jobs being created in Kingsport?
We really need workforce development. Am I allowed to expand on that?
Yes.
I really think that we need to look at not only the traditional types of jobs that we have been supporting in Kingsport, but also the next generation of jobs. What is the internet and the virtual economy going to mean to Kingsport? What are cryptocurrencies going to mean? Electronic dollars mean to Kingsport? What can we do to actually move ourselves forward? And one of the things we can do is really workforce development, looking towards the future, and not being stuck in the past in traditional jobs that we've always tended to revert back to.
Well, the role of, I believe that government should be as local and as limited as possible. We should be focusing on good schools, having good roads, and keeping taxes low. We can't rekindle Kingsport if we waste money on multi-million-dollar baseball stadiums. The role of government is about, it's about empowering people by letting them reap the fruits of their own labors. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. We got to let Kingsport become a center for innovation and entrepreneurship.
So innovation and entrepreneurship, I agree with those tremendously. I think the city needs to make sure it's really easy to do business, especially over the next few years for small business people. Coming out of the pandemic, we're gonna have an opportunity where the people might come out and really wanna crank up a business downtown somewhere. We should really encourage that, highly encourage that. That right there is what will get people to shop local, if there's local businesses that are actually supplying, creating products that people want to buy here. It's really hard to fight with the Amazons and these big retailers, and it's really hard to attract them, and it costs the city dearly to attract those type of resources. I'm a big fan of do-it-yourself, and I really would love to see this region start to grow up and create its own resources within it, and consume those. And along with that, we really need to think about the future. Space is up there. There's thousands of satellites going up into space every year. We really think about how those industries and how we are involved with those from an educational standpoint, and really training our youth for that next level. But the city is all about preparing for the future now.
Okay, agree. I said, that there's not much that's been said that you can disagree with. But I think as a city, we need to also continue what we've been doing in the last several years as having an excellent financial posture, we've had no new city debt lately, and we've reduced our spending, and we've been more transparent with what we are doing. So as we move forward, we need to continue to do what we're doing, also and continue to invest in our infrastructure, which are our roads, so that when businesses come to Kingsport, or businesses are looking at Kingsport, we have, we can be proud of what we show them. So, like I said, there's not anything that's been said so far that I disagree with. We just need to be very broad in our thinking and pursue every avenue we can to keep Kingsport moving forward.
Everybody's got good answers, and I'm gonna go with what is really important right now is the quality of life in Kingsport. The reason for that is the pandemic has changed everything. People now can work where they want to work. They've learned to work at home. So everyone has an opportunity that we didn't have a year ago. You can live where you want and keep the job you have or get a new job. So we need to have the best quality of life. We need to have the parks and the good schools and the good roads, the things that attract people to come to Kingsport. If people move to Kingsport and live here, they go to the vet here, they go to the grocery store here, they go to the restaurants here, they go to the dentist here, they go to the pharmacist here. That's the growth that we need in our economy, and that's the people we are. And with who we are, we need to let people know what a great place it is to live here.
I think the three things that come to mind, and they may have been mentioned earlier, economic development, education, and infrastructure. Those are kind of our three pillars of local government. And I touched on earlier with economic development, spending the resources to recruit businesses, but also spending dollars reinvesting in the small businesses that are here. I think that's crucial, and that's going to help tremendously coming out of COVID. With infrastructure, I think we're doing a fantastic job. Congratulations to Pat and his team for taking that head on. I think that's going to, when families move here, they want to have nice neighborhoods to live in. They want to have nice roads to drive on. When it comes to education, I think education is the crown jewel of Kingsport. That's what sets us apart. I think, when it comes to, reinvesting in the infrastructure, I think that's important. But I also think we need to look at, well, what makes Kingsport so important? It's the support system that each child has. That's what makes Kingsport City Schools thrive. So we need to focus on that as well.
I too agree with everything that's been said here on this question. Infrastructure, education, economic development. When we talk about economic development, I think we really need to pay attention to the businesses that we have currently. A wise man once said, if you want green grass, water and fertilize the grass that you have. So we have to take care of the feeding of our businesses that we have and work with them to grow, as well as reach out to others to recruit, to bring to our area. We have, like I said before, we have a rich history here, a strong foundation. We need to be the very best Kingsport we can be, not like another city. We need to be the very best Kingsport we can be. We are a model city. We need to grow, and I'm sure we will grow. Thank you.
So I'll quote Paul, we need to be the best Kingsport we can be, but I'll also quote Albert Schweitzer, who said, I don't know what your destiny will be, but the only ones among you who will truly be happy are those who have sought and found how to serve. For me, the two main issues, hospital authority, the other is the homeless situation. Sullivan County just got $1.6 million in grants to help to address the homeless. That's a lot of money. Kingsport, through the CARES Act, got $600 and some thousand, and it just got distributed to various charities, rather than saying, hey, we've got this money, what can we do to address this? So, I don't know if y'all know what Job Corps is, or Jacobs Creek. They take juvenile delinquents and they rehabilitate them and give them a job skill and train them. That's something they could do for the homeless here, to get them off the street. So, we're the model city, let's act like it. Let's set an example.
Thank you. The last question that you just responded to gave us an opportunity to see how you saw city priorities. This question builds on that. Assuming that Kingsport receives $10 million more from the $1.9 trillion COVID bill, how would you prioritize spending those dollars for the greatest success? And we begin with you.
Well, it's a relief fund. So where does Kingsport need its relief? You talk to any citizen in Kingsport, they're gonna say the homeless situation. So a good bulk of that money should go toward that, in a way that's tangible, that we can see. And, I would love to drive home someday and not see anybody sleeping on the street, especially when it's wintertime and it's cold. And my heart goes out to those people. I don't know what their circumstance is. I don't prejudge anybody. But in talking to some of those people, it's like they don't belong there. And I saw a woman one day feeding her kid dog food. So I went home and got food and brought it back to them. It's heartbreaking. And I think that a lot of the people in this city are blind to it. They don't go out there. But where does Kingsport need relief? We need our roads paved. Man, I think there's a portion of Jared Drive that got paved, and one other part of Kingsport that's kind of adjacent to Eastman, but nothing else is really getting done. That's two things. I'm done.
$10 million is a lot of money, and I think I would prioritize it based on the plan that the city has, and also looking at areas like education, and the infrastructure that we have, that we need sewers improved, pipes need to be fixed, and the education we're facing now is something that we really need to we've benefited over the last several years, many years, with a strong educational system. We want to maintain that here in our area, as well as the higher education is an opportunity for us to prepare jobs for our students, And also, we want to keep our smartest and brightest here in Kingsport. So whatever we can do to prioritize that funds to make sure that we do retain the best we can retain.
Well, I think a great thing is that we're sitting here running for alderman. And, you know, I want to make sure everyone knows that I'm not running for city manager, because that right there is one of the most important positions I think we have. And as an alderman, I would use my discernment, I would fall back on my principles, my morals, and I would want to use those tax dollars for what we need. But I'm not gonna sit here and act like I have all the answers to that create success. I do know that over time, these things are gonna take time. I think we live in a society where we kind of expect things to happen just like that. And when it comes to economic development, infrastructure, and education, it's gonna be the long game. So I have faith in our city employees that they can bring a budget, they can bring ideas to the table and allow me and the others to research that, get involved with that, and help make that decision.
$10 million sounds like a lot of money until you look at the cost of running a city and how quickly $10 million can be spent. I know the city manager and all the department heads have long lists of things, needs, wants, and things that we need to do that have been cut to keep the budget where it is. There are a lot of really wonderful, unique opportunities that have been sidelined this past year because of COVID. There are a lot of things that we've already been talking about that would be beneficial to the city. And I think a lot of that is looking at capital options that we would have something to show for this money that is above and beyond what we could normally do with the taxpayer money we receive. But a lot of thought from a lot of different people has already begun on this path. And as an alderman, I hope we'll have wonderful discussions to look at what is the most beneficial for the majority of the citizens in Kingsport.
I know that the money that we got earlier, the $600,000, had a lot of strings attached to it. I mean, it had to be spent on COVID-related issues. So it wasn't like free money that you could go out and, you know, do anything with it. It had to be tied back to the COVID-related issues. So the $10 million, I'm not sure if we, you know, we're thinking it has strings attached to it, but I agree that we need to use any money to invest with the small businesses that have been dramatically devastated by COVID. We mentioned that there's been mention about paving. I just want to make a point that in 2016, we spent $800,000 on paving. And this past year, during COVID, we spent over $3.5 million. So our paving has increased, and even during COVID, we saw that the infrastructure of Kingsport has to be invested in. So when people say that we're not invested in paving, we are. We've 4 times paving this past year than we did 4 years ago. So, thank you.
Yep. So yeah, 10 million is not a huge amount in city government or in large business, but it is a relief fund. I say inject it fast, get it into the community fast. Try to make sure that this is going into projects that are actually going to be performed by local people. Don't send it to Chicago. Don't send, you know, I mean, make sure it stays here and it's helping some of the businesses or residents or employees, and it's going back into their pockets as well. And doing that through making sure that we're doing projects that are going to last generations in Kingsport. You know, so if we can do something that's going to last 50, 60, 70 years, great, because then we're going to get real value out of that money that's coming back in. And so that's what I think is inject it fast, try to keep it local, and really make sure it lasts a long time.
Well, first I would put that money into education, and I think one of the best ways to rekindle Kingsport would be putting increased emphasis on vocational training so that some of these kids could come right out of high school and maybe get good paying jobs. Secondly, I would focus on infrastructure. And thirdly, I think that we should focus on maybe renovating some of the areas of Kingsport that have been forgotten, like Lynn Garden and Riverview.
Thank you. I would say if I were given $10 million, of course, CARES Act, like most have said, is relief money. But if we were able to use those funds as we'd like, I would say reinvesting it into productive infrastructure so that we can, as others have said, grow the organic entrepreneurship spirit that we have in Kingsport and really start to foster groups of people who want to bring economic development to the city. I would also like to focus on education. I think that finding out where kids are right now after the pandemic, making sure that they have all the supports that they need to succeed in school, and also providing them with a learning space so that they can keep up with their peers. I also think it's very important for us as a city to emphasize home ownership rather than just demolishing houses that we feel are too old and can't be rehabilitated. Let's look at how we can try to promote home ownership among the people of Kingsport, because if we're really going to pull people out of poverty, that's one clear-cut way to do that.
Well, candidates, you responded very appropriately, passionately, and informatively to our questions today. At this time, we welcome your closing statements, and we'll start with Ms. Buchanan.
Okay, thank you again for having me today and for giving me the opportunity to talk about my background and experience and how I can serve the city of Kingsport. I feel like right now the city is at an inflection point, and we can either go in a very positive direction or a very negative direction, but we have to have the right systems in place to make sure that we can be as prosperous as we'd like to be in the future. We don't know what's going to happen after COVID-19, what the world may look like, but we need to be as resilient as possible and as ready to take on any of those challenges. So I think that I will be the candidate to make sure that we are the most adaptable and able city to meet the challenges that are coming up in the next few years.
Well, I'd like to thank Mary Lee Davis for doing an excellent job of moderating, as always. I'd like to thank the Kiwanis Club for extending an invitation to me. Really, like I said, my campaign is all about rekindling Kingsport. It's about getting back to our roots as being the leader of the Tri-Cities again. It's about paying down our debt, making sure that we spend money in a responsible fashion, not on bike lanes and sidewalks to nowhere. And it's about listening to our people, our teachers and our innovators, and I hope that on May 18th you'll consider me for Alderman.
So, yes, thank you for allowing us to be up here, and thanks for the cold weather that we brought in today as well. That's been a real delight for the day. I picked the wrong shirt to wear. But, you know, I'm really hoping to work to align Kingsport to the future. We have a revolution that's coming. There's a lot of change coming, self-driving cars. I mean, everything's going to change over here. Even the way we deal with money. You know, we're seeing this $10 million cash injection. There's modern monetary theory out there that the government's going to keep pumping this cash out. There's a lot of weird things, and I really want to make sure that Kingsport's at least analyzing what that looks like and where it comes, and when do we spend money, when do we not. Because that's really, I mean, money is usually what it takes to run a city, and you either do that through taxes or the federal government's going to start injecting it. So I'm wanting to be on the board really just to look at it from that perspective, and then healthcare technology in the future to kind of offer what I have or what education I've gotten for decisions in the future. But thank you for allowing us to be here today.
I want to take a minute just to tell you why I decided to run again. In February of 2020, we set together the board and all the leadership of Kingsport, the city leaders, and then a lot of concerned citizens were there. And we talked about there's strategic planning about how we're going to move Kingsport forward, and there was a lot of momentum going after that meeting. And then all of a sudden, the world stopped, and we came to a screeching halt, and we pulled back and hit pause and just waited for a little while. And then slowly, our leaders in Kingsport, our city leaders, started showing up, and I've never been more proud of the leaders in Kingsport and our Board of Mayor and Aldermen and our citizens, and we've worked through this pandemic. So a lot of the things that were going on in 2020, we had another strategic plan in 2021, just last month, and I keep telling everyone that 2021 is Kingsport's year, and I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of what we started and had to stop and we rekindled now and started again now. So I want to be a part of what's where Kingsport is going and do be a part of the plans that we made a year ago that we had to put on pause.
Thank you. I'm Colette George, and this is, I guess, my third time before you guys running for alderman. And I appreciate your support in the past, and I hope the decisions I've made and what I've listened to you all and the paths that I've chosen to be vocal on or not vocal is representing the people of Kingsport. I am small business. I believe in this community. I've worked with a lot of people coming in this area and leaving this area. I understand what's important to people, and I love Kingsport, and I hope you'll give me the opportunity to serve you one more time to continue to move forward Kingsport in the direction that I think it needs to be in.
Well, thank you for coming out today. The main reason why I decided